Hello everyone. Today I'll explain the lesson The Enemy from your Vistas book. This is written by Pearl S. Buck. Now this story highlights how a Japanese doctor saves the life of an American prisoner of war and rises above national prejudices. So he risks his honor, career, position, and life by sheltering a war prisoner of the enemy camp and saving his life. The author Pearl S. Buck has beautifully portrayed the conflict in the doctor's mind as a private individual and as a citizen with a sense of national loyalty. Now let's understand about the learning objectives. These last two are the main learning objective. Apart from these general ones, you will be able to realize the essential worth of human life and universal brotherhood. You'll be able to think beyond countries and continents and races and wars. Now let's know about the author. Pearl S. Buck was born on 26th June 1892 in Hillsborough, West Virginia. She spent most of her first 40 years of her life in China. Uh, she has she has won many awards like the Pulitzer Prize, the Howells Medal in 1934-35 for The Good Earth, which was adapted as a major MGM film in 1937. In 1938, she won the Nobel Prize in Literature, and she was the first American to receive this award. By the time of her death in 1973, she died in 1973, she had already published over 70 books, novels, collections of stories, biography and autobiography, poetry, drama, children's literature, and translations from the Chinese. Now let's know about the lesson. The Enemy, written by Pearl S. Buck, who is the author. She strongly believes that all people were equal. So she believed that all people were equal. There cannot be any differentiation. The Enemy was written by her and published in Harper's Magazine in 1942. This lesson confirms her belief in equality for all people. This story is written with the backdrop of the Second World War. It brings out the sad plight of a prisoner of war from America who makes the reader think of the brutality of war. Now, before we start reading the chapter, this is the introduction in your textbook has been given. It's the time of the World War. As we have seen that the background of the story was the Second World War. An American prisoner of war is washed ashore in dying state and is found at the doorstep of a Japanese doctor. Should he save him as a doctor or hand him over to the army as a patriot? So, a Japanese doctor who finds an American prisoner of war at his doorstep, he is in dilemma that being a doctor, should he save the wounded man, or being a Japanese, should he hand him over to the army? So, let's find out what he actually did. The setting of the story, it takes place on a coastal town of Japan in the year 1941 when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. A war was going on between America and Japan. Japanese were hostile to the Americans and ready to kill any American found in their soil. The place where the story takes place is the house of Dr. Sadao, who is the protagonist of the chapter. His house is built on a narrow beach near the sea, and there, this is what where the story takes place. Let's start the lesson. The Enemy. Dr. Sadao's Hoki house was Dr. Sadao Hoki's house was built on a spot of the Japanese coast where, as a little boy, he had often played. Uh, the low square stone house was set upon rocks well above a narrow beach that was outlined with bent pines. So here in these lines, we can see the description of Dr. Sadao's Hoki's house has been given. He is the main character, Dr. Sadao's Hoki, and his house was situated on the coast of Japan. He had been living there since his childhood. The house had a low height and was made of stone. It was set upon the rocky beach, which had a boundary line made with pine trees that were tilted towards one side. Bent means tilted towards one side. As a boy, Sadao had climbed the pines, supporting himself on his bare feet, as he had seen men do in the South Seas when they climbed for coconuts. So here we can see that when Dr. Sadao was a child, he would climb up the pine trees. Uh, his father had taken him often to the islands of those seas, and never had he failed to say to the little brave boy at his side, "Those islands yonder." Yonder means when we point out towards something at a distance in the direction, uh, for that we use yonder, over there. They are stepping stones to the future for Japan. So here we can see that when Dr. Sadao was a child, and when he visited the South Seas, he would see men climbing the pine trees to get coconuts from the trees, and he would accompany his father to the islands of the South Seas often. His father would point towards the islands and would say that those were the stepping stones towards the future of Japan. So, being a child, he would ask very childishly, "Where shall we step from them?" Sadao had asked seriously. So his father would reply that it was not known, as he depended on the future. As it depended on the future. Who knows? His father had answered. Who can limit our future? It depends on what we make it. This is a very important learning from the chapter, that our future depends on how we shape it. So the future had no limits. It depended on the mankind, how it shaped its future. Sadao had taken this into his mind, as he did everything his father said. His father, who never joked or played with him, but who spent infinite uh, pains upon him, who was his only son. Sadao knew that his education was his father's chief concern. For this reason, he had been sent for 22 to America. He had been sent at 22 to America to learn all that could be learned for surgery and medicine. He had come back at 30, and before his father died, he had seen Sadao become famous not only as a surgeon but as a scientist, because he was perfecting a discovery which would render wounds entirely clean. He had not been sent abroad with the troops. Also, he knew there was some slight danger that the old general might need an operation for a condition for which he was now being treated medically. For oh, sorry. And for this possibility, Sadao was being kept in Japan. Now, if in these lines, we can see that Sadao had a great influence of his father. So whatever he used to tell him, he would take it seriously, or he would learn it, by heart. His father, they shared a very serious kind of mature kind of relationship. Sadao's education was the main concern for his father, and that is why he had sent him at the age of 22 to America to learn about surgery and medicine. And when he came back at 30, before his father died, the father had seen Sadao becoming famous not only as a surgeon but as a scientist. So now here in these lines, we see the reason why Sadao was not sent along with the troops of army. There were two reasons. First, he was working to find out, he was perfecting a discovery, he was working to find out a medicine which could which could make the wounds entirely clean, absolutely clean. And second reason was that here we can see the third character is introduced in the story, who is the old general of the army. So he was undergoing some treatment, and he needed an operation for a condition. He was now being treated medically, and for this possibility, Sadao was being kept in Japan. So at any time, he might need a surgery. That is why Sadao was kept there only. Clouds were rising from the ocean now. The unexpected warmth of the past few days had at night drawn heavy fog from the cold waves. So thou watched mists hide outlines of a little island near the shore, and then come creeping up the beach below the house, wreathing around the pines. In a few minutes, fog would be wrapped about the house too. Then he would go into the room where Hannah, his wife, would be waiting for him with the two children. Now, here we can see that Sadao is standing outside his house. So, another character, Hannah, is also introduced in this paragraph, who is Sadao's wife. So, they both have two children. So we can see that here the writer describes about the scene outside his house. As the days were unusually warm, and the sea waves were cold, the night became foggy. So the Dr. Sadao saw the boundary of a nearby island became invisible gradually as it got covered in the mist, and slowly the mist was coming closer to him. So soon there would be mist all around the house, and at that time he would go back in the house where his wife Hannah, along with the two children, are there. But at this moment, the door opened and she looked out, a dark blue woolen ahuri over her kimono. Now, when he was about to go inside, he was thinking to go inside the house. That moment only, the door opened and Hannah came out wearing a loose outer garment over her kimono. She came to him affectionately and put her arm through his as he stood, smiled, and said nothing. Here we can see the bonding they shared. He had met Hannah in America, but he had waited to fall in love with her uh, until he was sure that she was, yeah, sorry, until the until he was sure she was Japanese. His father would never have received her unless she had been pure in her race. He wondered often whom he would have married if he had not met Hannah, and by what luck he had found her in the most casual way, by chance, literally, at an American professor's house. The professor and his wife had been kind people anxious to do something for their few foreign students, and the students, though bored, had accepted this kindness. Sadao had often told Hannah how nearly he had not gone to Professor's Harley's house that night. The rooms were so small, the food so bad, the professor's wife so voluble. But he had gone, and there he had found Hannah, a new student, and had felt he would love her if it were at all possible. Voluble means talkative. So, here in these lines, we can see that uh, Sadao, Sadao knew that his father would marry him to a Japanese girl only, and so he ensured this before falling in love with her. Sadao considered himself to be lucky to have accidentally met her at an American professor's house. He wondered that if he had not met her, he would not have got a wife all his life. So he thought that the professor and his wife were kind as they were keen to help their foreign students. And he was glad that had accepted this kindness and went to their house because it was there that he had met Hannah. Sadao would often tell Hannah that it was a mere coincidence that he went there to the professor's house that night, as the rooms in his house were small, the food was also not very good, and the professor's wife was also very talkative. So if he had not gone, so here we can see this use of humor also. If he had not gone there that night, he would not have met Hannah. At that time, Hannah was a new student. Sadao had thought that he would love her if at all it would be possible for him. Now he felt her hand on his arm and was aware of the pleasure it gave him, even though they had been married years enough to have the two children. So here we can see the bonding, the kind of bonding they shared, in spite of having the two children and in spite of having many years of their marriage now, since they were in love with each other. For they had not married heedlessly in America. They did not marry to each other in hurry burry. They had finished their work at school and had come to Japan, and when his father had seen her marriage had been arranged in the old Japanese way. So they got married in a traditional Japanese ceremony. They had discussed all the details before the wedding. Although Sadav and Hana had talked everything over beforehand, this means that they had discussed everything. They were perfectly happy. She laid her cheek against his arm. Sorry. Uh, it was It was at this moment that both of them saw something black come out of the mists. It was a man. He was flung up out of the ocean, flung, it seemed, to his feet by a breaker. He staggered a few steps, his body outlined against the mist, his arms above his head. Then the curled mists hid him again. Now here we can see that this was the moment when they were thinking about all that, how they got married, when Dr. Sadao is in his thoughts. At that very moment they saw a figure appear out of the mist, and it appeared black in color due to the mist. The outline of a man's body was visible in the mist, and he walked unsteadily with his arms above the head, and which was an indication that he was a prisoner and he had surrendered. So the man walked a few steps and then disappeared in the mist. Who's that? Hannah cried. She dropped Sadav's arm and they both leaned over the railing of the veranda. Now they saw him again. The man was on his hands and knees crawling. Then they saw him fall on his face and lie there. Now, upon seeing the figure, Hannah's reaction we can see by asking, who was that? So she took her arm out of Sadav's arm, and both of them bent forward over the railing of the veranda to have a closer look at the man. So they saw him again. He was crawling on the hands and knees. Then he fell on his face and kept on lying there. Probably he had fainted. A fisherman, perhaps, Sadao said, washed from his boat. He ran quickly down the steps, and behind him Hannah came, her white sleeves flying. A mile or two away on either side there were fishing villages, but here was only the bare and lonely coast, dangerous with rocks. The surf beyond the beach was spiked with rocks. Somehow the man had managed to come through them. He must be badly torn. Now, here in this paragraph, we can see that the area is being described. Area had villages full of fishermen, and Sadav thought that it was a fisherman who had been washed off his boat. So he ran to help him. Hannah too followed him, and the loose sleeves of her loose garment, which is a hori, it flew because of the air, we might say, and because she ran. So this part of the coast was not inhabited, as it had dangerous rocks on it, and the rocks were so pointed that for one moment Sadav thought that uh, the man who has come crossing all these rocks must be badly injured. So because he had managed to come through them, so he must be badly injured. They saw when they came toward him that indeed it was so. The sand on one side of him had already a stain of red soaking through. So here we can see that as soon as they reached to him, they could spot a stain of blood stain in the sand. So it meant that he was wounded and the blood was oozing out of his wound. He is wounded, Sadav exclaimed. He made haste to the man who lay motionless, his face in the sand, an old cap stuck to his head, soaked with sea water. He was in wet rags of garments. Wet rags of garments means the clothes were completely torn out. Sadav stopped Hannah at his side and turned the man's head. They saw the face, a white man, Hannah whispered. Now, here Sadav said that the man was wounded, and he approached the man who was laying motionless with his face buried in the sand. An old cap hung on his head. It was soaked with the sea water. His dress was also wet and torn out. Sadao turned the man's head, and as they saw the face, they, it came out of their mouth, a white man. So surprisingly, they were surprised to see an American. Yes, it was a white man. The wet cap fell away, and there was his wet yellow hair, long as though for many weeks it had not been cut, and upon his young and tortured face was a rough yellow beard. He was unconscious and knew nothing that they did for him. So here, the injured man was an American. As his cap fell off, the cap indicated that he was an American. Uh, they saw his wet yellow colored hair, which had not been cut for a long time. So, which again indicated that he was in the prison for a long time. He was young. His face had such marks, which indicated that he had been tortured. So, this line tells about the brutality of war, that how the prisoners were tortured. So he had a rough, unkempt, yellow colored beard. As he had fainted, he did not know of the presence of Sadao and Hana. So he knew nothing, means he was not aware of the presence of both of them. Now Sadao remembered the wound, and with his expert fingers he began to search for it. Blood flowed freshly at his touch. On the right side of his lower back, Sadao saw that the gun wound had been reopened. The flesh was blackened with powder. Sometime not many days ago, the man had been shot and had not been tended. It was bad chance that the rock had stuck the wound. Now, here Sadao suddenly he realizes that the man was wounded. Uh, See, already they had spotted the blood stain, but as soon as they saw the face, they were he had stopped thinking. So now again, suddenly he realized that the man was wounded, and he had seen blood stains on the sand. So as a doctor, he moved the trained fingers around the man's back to search for the wound. He felt blood oozing out of his back, which was, lower part of the back, and it was a gunshot. So the man had been injured a few days ago, and he did not receive any medical help to treat the wound, as he had himself used some black colored powdery substance on it, and the sharp rocks through which he had come crossing them, he had got the pierced, the sharp rocks on the shore had pierced the wound, and that is why he was bleeding. Oh, how he is bleeding, Hannah whispered again in solemn voice. In a serious tone she said, how he is bleeding. The mist screened them now completely, and at this time of day no one came by. The fisherman had gone home, and even the chance beachcombers are the rag pickers, would have considered the day at an end. Now, in this line, we can understand that the mist had intensified now, and the three of them could be spotted by anyone. But this was the time. This was at time of the day when fisherman and the rag pickers also did not visit the place. What shall we do with this man? Sadao muttered, but his trained hands seemed of their own will to be doing what they could to stanch the fearful bleeding. Sorry. He packed his wound with the sea moss that strewed the beach. The man moaned with pain in his stupor, but he did not awaken. So we can see that Sadao is figuring it out what could be done with him. So his trained hands had already, but his trained hands seemed of their own will to be doing. So as a doctor, he his conscience was asking him to treat on him. So he could stanch means stop or restrict, doing what they could to stanch the fearful bleeding. So he was bleeding profusely. So the doctor's conscience was asking him to stop it, to put a bandage on it. He packed the wound with the sea moss. So what he did to stop the bleeding, he put some sea moss that strewed the beach. The man moaned with pain in his stupor, unconsciousness, but he did not awaken. So, as soon as Dr. Sadao put the CMOS, the man cried in pain in his unconsciousness, but he did not awaken. So, till here, I'll explain in this video. We'll continue tomorrow in the next video.